97.7 The Q and 98 Gold. Stephen Sherrill with you here, hanging out, doing our thing on Therapy Thursday with Dr. Nicki Monty. Good morning, Dr. Nicki. How are you?
I'm a fantastic.
We had a listener reach out and say that they feel inadequate. They try their best, but it doesn't seem like it's ever enough.
Mm-hmm.
And why isn't it ever enough?
Mm-hmm. Well, of course, with
And I thought,
something like that, that's not as much of a, well, it can be, but generally not a philosophical question so much as it is something that is hearkening back likely to, again, standing on the shoulders of childhood experiences and assumptions made in assumptions made. You know how that is, right?
mm-hmm,
Assumptions, making an ass of you and
ass
me.
out of you and me.
And assumptions made and declarations made and stories told from childhood about never being quite enough, whether that's you were comparing yourself to your siblings or your parents were hypercritical or overarching on you all the time about what to do or controlling, or you lived in a culture that was very tough. And sure shouldn't call cultures out, but cultures deserve to be called out. And this idea of we're ignoring all the cultures. This was before. Now we're over paying attention all the time. But anyway, pre-Trump, we were over woke, I think. But anyway, culture matters. It does matter, no matter what anybody says. It matters, And so in the Asian community, as one of my clients once said, A- is failure. You if it's not an A or an A+, you're in trouble. God help you if you get a B. And so
I was very much Jewish culture too,
oh,
at least for me, my
yeah, yeah.
experience. Like
Oh,
I actually ran away from home in third grade for getting a 97 on a spelling test.
Wow.
I
Well, I
just
would
didn't want to come
say
home.
that I don't know if
Mhm.
that's certainly in the Jewish culture, education and smarts are really emphasized
Mhm.
in most cultures. I mean, in most Jewish households.
Yeah,
Obviously, not all for anything, right? So there are
right.
plenty of people whose parents aren't paying enough attention to care whether they're getting an A, B, or a D. So, uh, but that's super interesting. So then, what we know about that is that your parents equated doing with well-being, and I do not equate doing with well-being. I think well-being can lead to well-doing, but for the most part, they are not anywhere near the same. So, for instance, if I say to you, uh, "Don't be a bad girl," I think we've talked about this, versus, "Hey, that's a bad thing you did. I
Oh,
love you no matter what. You're a good girl, but that is a bad thing you did." There's a big difference, and most people don't emphasize that difference.
Mhm.
So you are crying over spilled milk because that's such a bad thing you did. That means you're such a bad person.
hmm but how many times do we all do it to ourselves? You do something and you go, I'm such an idiot. I shouldn't have done that.
Oh yeah,
Rather than
oh,
realize you just made a mistake. You did a stupid thing.
of course. And but we do that. We do that because we learn to do that. Again, children learn three ways: by example, by example, by example. We learn to do that. We're always teaching our children for the future, right?
So how do you unlearn?
Well, you fight back. We're talking about this thing, and I talk about this so much because I find it anathema. But I understand people are always saying to me, "I'm struggling with my weight." What are you doing? Well, look at me, I'm fat. Well, okay, you're not struggling with your weight, you're accepting your weight. That's your business. Then love that body that you're in. You can either get the body you love or love the body you have. I don't know the other choice. I don't know what the other choice is. I guess you can hate the body you have and continue to complain about it, but do nothing. Or I'm struggling with my anxiety. What are you doing to struggle with it? No, but I mean, I'm anxious. Right. You're not struggling with it. You're struggling means you're fighting back. So when it comes to that self-esteem of the listener and the not enoughness, we start with looking at, so the easy beginning is to look at all the ways you tell yourself you're not enough. And what do the sentences sound like? And what do you do in response to your idea that you're not enough? And you want to ask yourself the question, not enough for whom? Not enough for what? Not enough for when? So answer your own questions, dig in and say, what do I even mean by that? Not enough to be a billionaire? Not enough to be loved? Not enough to be taken seriously? What are you not enough about? And then go all the way back once you've got that list. Go all the way back to the first time you remember hearing that or feeling that or telling yourself that. You know, did your mother talk a lot about not being enough for herself? Are you mirroring her? Or was she constantly so stressed out, to go back to stress? You observed her being stressed out and you decided that you were the problem. And if only you could be better, she wouldn't be so stressed out.
So I'm hearing you, and of course, there's a ton of stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Just,
I love that about you.
here's where I'm stuck. I don't know what to do with it. So can I tell you just a brief story, and then
Sure.
you tell me how to snap out of it? Like,
Okay.
and I'll
Snap out of it.
no, because I did. That's what I do. I mean, I'm not like I'm not stupid. So I'm like, all right, here it is. Right? So okay, so there were two things. One is I'm adopted.
Uh-huh.
So I was told I was adopted from the time I was old enough to remember. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember when I was told, because I went to Jewish parochial schools before becoming a Christian later on in life, but Jewish parochial schools, man meets woman, they get married, and then they have children, and that's what you do. And if you have a child out of wedlock, if you will, this was 105 years
It's a
ago.
great word,
Anyway,
isn't it?
right
Wedlock.
out of wedlock.
Yeah,
I just
wedlock.
remember that word, and we're talking, it was in my first house that I can remember. So it was an apartment before our home. So I was 7, maybe. And I was told, well, your mom wasn't married. So in my head, knowing that, okay, if someone I was called a bastard to the faith. Like,
Oh God.
so that's under third grade. So I've
How
got that
do we
story.
survive? I'm
But
just saying.
at the same time, here's the other story that my mom and my brother were into spooky stories. I am not and never will be. And my mom used to, when she would get mad and calm down, she would tell me the story, if I don't get in line, like if I don't, if I don't behave myself at night when I sleep, like a caterpillar turns into a butterfly, I'm going to fly out the window and she's going to close the window and I'll never be able to come back in.
Oh my God.
So now my mom has passed away. I loved her. She loved me.
Sure,
I want that like on the record for, because
on
Steve,
the record. Are you hearing that, audience? It's
yeah,
on the record.
right.
She loved
And
your mother.
I
Not
loved her.
relevant to this conversation.
Okay. I'm a mom. I've done a lot wrong, I'm sure.
Sure.
So I'm very like careful with putting it in a perspective, like she was bad or shouldn't have said that or whatever it is. Like,
She shouldn't have said that. And it doesn't mean she
Yeah.
was bad. She
Yeah.
was ill-trained also.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So now how do I snap out of it? Like, this is what I want. This is the question.
no.
Like, how to snap out of it? That's the way I feel like.
Snap out of what for first? Like that
I'm
would be my
getting a
first
little
question.
stomach ache with you, Cheryl. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't snap out of it. The only way through anything is into it. The only way through it is into it. You go back. Okay, so here's one way. I mean, there's
Yeah.
a lot to say, but here's a little exercise you could do. Imagine, unless you actually have a picture of yourself at around 7 or whatever, right?
Mhm.
But you could use a picture, or imagine, so you do your little breath meditation that I sent you, that I'm happy to
Mhm.
send people if they ask me for it. You do that meditation, and you breathe, and you breathe into your body. There's silence. There's not, rock music in the background or whatever. And you breathe, and you breathe, and you breathe. And as you do that, you call for, as once you get really comfortable in your body, which is key, you call for an image or the presence of the 7-year-old. Let's start there. I mean, your stuff started way before that, by the way, but let's start with 7-year-old.
What the heck?
And I mean, everybody's did to some
Yeah,
degree.
yeah.
So, okay. But you've got some good solid things to look at to use. I mean,
You're welcome. No, I'm kidding.
that story is a year of our therapy together.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, because it's indicative, it's not the story itself, it's indicative of how your mother taught you to be in the world, and what your mother taught you about love, and about loving yourself, and personal value. I mean, it's all in that story. And everything else is going to be some repetition of that story, some version of that story.
So
The
there is
way
a
she
reason why that story is poignant, like, to me, because it's
So, absolutely.
okay.
Absolutely. So
Okay.
let's just, for fun, before I give you the exercise, what do you imagine? Give me three things three interpretations for you of that story.
Someone could get so mad at you that they never want to be around you again. So,
Correct.
like, you're
Now make
junk.
that personal. Make that personal. Say that in a way that's about you rather than third personing. The minute we
Oh,
hear
so I
ourselves,
can do something. I could do something so bad that
yeah,
someone will never want to be around me again.
absolutely. And
Cancel.
cancel.
Yeah.
And okay, so let's just even take that sentence, and from that sentence, what do you think you gleaned? What did you then assumed was your path to walk that would spare you, save you, whatever it would do?
Don't ever go to that point. Whatever
Don't ever
you
go to
do,
that point. Well, so
like,
what does that mean? Don't ever
well, I would say be as perfect as you can be. Like,
be
meaning
as
get the good
perfect as you
grades,
can.
clean the house, don't step like outside out of bounds.
Don't ever step out of bounds. Don't ever step out of bounds. Okay, so what we do is, in my the one thing I want to encourage people always to do is to explore in what I call vertical ways. Right. So a lot of people don't explore at all. They just talk horizontally, basically. So how are you today? Well, I'm having a really rough time. So then, are you going to the store later, or how's that going to work? You know what I mean? They go to a new topic. So they're working this way, as opposed to, oh, you're having a rough time. What kind of a rough time? Well, I'm a little aggravated. Oh, what are you aggravated about? Right? So that's vertical thinking. So now you say, I have to be perfect, right? So then you ask yourself, what does perfect mean? I can never say anything wrong. I can never do anything wrong. What does wrong mean? I can never say anything that will upset anybody. What will happen if you say something that upsets somebody? They'll leave me forever, or I'll be banished, or I'll be marginalized. And if you're marginalized or banished or you're left forever, what will happen to you? You see? So you go down, 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 down. There's no snapping out of it. Here's two things that are important to know. There's no snapping out of it, nor is it that important or appropriate. And time does not heal all wounds. Bull. Time does not heal all wounds. That's so crazy. Wounds fester. Surgery heals wounds. You get in
Right.
there, you dig around, you sew things up, you go towards them, you use the proper medication.
But
You
here's
know,
the thing, if okay, so if I'm taught that, right? So if I'm taught that perfection, if you will not okay. w- I'm not afraid to go for someone's juggler. So how did
true.
that happen? Out of all this, you would think I'd be scared of my own shadow, and I'm the
No,
opposite.
yeah. Well, there's this thing called the organic construction of you. First of all, we're put together in particular ways. Some people are naturally extroverted. Some people are naturally introverted. I think we're all extroverted introverts or introverted extroverts. But
Mhm.
and as we age, I think that becomes more and more true that things blend.
Yeah.
But some people are naturally, if you go to a schoolyard, you'll see some kids playing over in a corner by themselves, and some kids tell, give me that.
Right.
I, let me show you, or whatever. And
Mhm.
the kids will be doing that very, very young. Share, some kids steal. It's, what
Mhm.
happens. Uh, and of course, some of that is nature, and a lot of it's nurture or lack thereof. Okay, so whatever is woven into you, in terms of, we'll call it aggression, which can be converted to assertion, but anyway, aggression, is what pops up. And I would guess that you have some residual resentment about a number of things. One, being called the bastard to the faith. No, what is it?
Bastard to the face. Mhm.
Bastard to the faith.
Yeah.
This seems to me like a sentence that can't even make sense a little bit. How could you be a bastard and faith be part of that sentence? How are you being criticized for your own birth situation,
Right.
demeaned and diminished,
Yeah.
you know, for your birth situation, and they link that with the faith? That makes me nuts. Just terrible. Okay, but so you've already got this label, born with a scarlet letter on your forehead, right? So, bastard. And the B, scarlet letter is B in this case. And there's no faith in that. Where's anyway? Okay. Uh, so you've got the label. You hear about the label pretty early on, and I think your little person got mad about that. And I think you've got some resentment, unworked through resentment,
Mm.
about the way you were characterized, the fact that your mother, uh, whether it was the best choice in the universe or not, we have stuff about being adopted.
Yeah.
We do. There's
Mhm.
libraries full of books, and you and I've talked a little bit about this, about adopted, and this yearning to meet the birth parents. Not everybody has it, but most do, because there's this. It's almost a primitive, you know, desire, this connection to, especially to the mother. It doesn't have so much to the father, but it's to the mother.
I did, by
Because
the
after all, we're hanging out in the stomach for a
yeah.
while. Well, we're adopted, but we're not adopted at inception.
Right.
We're adopted after we've
Right.
been cooking, you know?
Right.
So we already have these things. And we have some of their elements and their genes and all those things, right? So I think that most of the people, I've worked with a lot of adopted kids that are kids that were adopted, and and sometimes they have the best parents. I mean, they really, luck of the draw there, or a pattern, I would say. But they still have this anxiety. And when we have an anxiety, a deep, primary anxiety, it's going to go into different ways depending upon our nature, I would say, to some degree, or how we saw our parents handle things. Now, I don't know if there was anger in your house, if you saw fighting or any of that. but that would be the teacher for you in that. So now you have that. Okay, so here we've got this. Number one, mom got rid of me. Dad, whoever he was, didn't care enough or know enough to rescue me from mom getting rid of me. Right? Now,
Mhm.
that could be not the story at all, you understand. It was like agonizing. My mother was so young and she knew she couldn't take care of a child, and she did the best possible. She wanted me to have the best possible life, so she put me up for there's a versions of, but that's not how it lives in the little person in us.
Right. Mhm.
And then I go to a family with this perfectionist mother who said these dreadful things to me. She didn't know they were dreadful. She thought she was giving you a good lesson. I have this quick story about my biological father, who I didn't spend, I spent in the course of my entire life, I'd call it hours with, you know, and but at one point I was in a conversation with him on the phone, and he was explaining to me how he had been a very good father before. This is in the book, before he left when I was 4, and one of the ways he was explaining what a great father he was is he said, you used to have this doll that you would carry. It was the same size you were, right? You were a little thing. You were probably 2 or something like that, 2.5. And you had this doll that was the height of you. And you would take this doll everywhere. Already I'm sad about this because I clearly had no friends. So I took this doll everywhere. I slept with the doll, and I took the doll everywhere I went, and all these kinds of things. He said, but I found that you would run into the street sometimes, and I just needed to cure you of running into the street. So one day I figured it out. So I took your doll, and you loved this doll like it was your sister. And I took this doll and I put it on the driveway, and I put you on the lawn to watch, and I took the cart and I drove back and forth over the doll until it broke into 100 pieces. And you never ran into the street again.
And he was
I
proud.
couldn't even speak when he told me this.
Yeah, I'm ready to cry with this story.
I know. I was like,
So what did you say? What?
well, I was trying to arrange to see him at that point for a hot minute and ask him medical questions, and the things you don't know when you're adopted. And but I was just stunned. I was just
Sure.
horrified that he thought this was great parenting, is where I went. I was old enough to have, so I actually don't believe I said anything. I was so stunned I can't remember if I said anything. That thing where you someone tells you something, or even you get your courage up to say, this really hurt me. And often I'll say with clients, and what did they say? And they go, yeah, I don't remember.
I don't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's taken so much to get up that courage
To say it. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if you took that, Cheryl, if you took that story, wrote it out, and then break it down into pieces, and this anger you have, it's based, I think, I'm going to take a guess here and say, in your organic understanding that was a horrifying story to tell you, and a horrifying way to get you to behave. And it really was. That's a terrible story. That's worse than the doll story I've got. It's just terrible. And so I think your little person got mad. And you still have this resentment. Yes, you love your mother. Yes, she's gone. You're glad you loved her. Yeah, all that sort of stuff. That's fine. But it does indicate, and that being said, it does indicate the way she taught you to go through the world. And when you talk, and guess what? You can be mad and sad and loving and, just want to spit or chew glass or whatever. You can have all those things simultaneous. Feelings are simultaneous. They're not like one. We just get the one, right?
Right.
So part of to answer your listener as well, the not enoughness is a very common response. And but what's behind that is, if I'm enough, whatever, again, people have to really discover, what does that mean? Enough for whom, for what, for when, for where, all the things. If I'm enough, I will be lovable. And they'll keep me, in your case. Because now you have a reinforcement of people throwing you out the window and closing the window on you. That's what this is, a pattern conversation for you. It's in the adoptive piece. You must have done something wrong. I mean, you were born a bastard to the faith. You must have done that. That's your fault, clearly. And so we make up these stories about it, and then we proceed. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go through I'm going to be mad, but people won't know that much, except when my hair catches on fire.
Yeah.
But most of the time they won't know. And also, I'm not going to tell them that much about me in a real way. I'm not going to talk about certainly not going to talk about my feelings with my husband or my best friend. I'm not going to do that. Because, if he finds out who I really am underneath all these pretty tats and my long hair, if he finds out who I am, he's going to throw me out the window and close that window, and I will never get back in.
Okay, so now, we could do a whole nother half hour on it, because that's the exact opposite of how I perceive you to be.
Right.
She doesn't act that way in any way whatsoever. So that's what throws me.
Well, because there is a fear of being her organic self, her natural self, the person she was born to be.
What do you find that person?
Right.
She finds it.
Because maybe that person's a little less pissed.
That person is what?
Little less pissed, he said.
That person is less pissed. That person, because Cheryl, you have to be afraid to not be pissed. You've used pissed as a safety mechanism, because pissed keeps people away.
Huh. Wow.
Because you have something in you that says, if I don't keep you away, you'll throw me away.
Ooh. All right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe you leave before you can be thrown away, or maybe you make sure nobody gets too close, like deeply close. There's all kinds of versions of what that means. Yeah.
Oh. All right, we need 5 hours. Can we do a 5-hour therapy Thursday?
We can, and just split it up. We'll just
and then I want you to fix me once and for all.
Right.
That's your task.
Snap
Ready,
out of
go.
it. Yeah. Here's what I do want to say, though, because I know our resident in Deweyville that asked the question about not being enough. So I'd love it if because you asked some questions there, and I know he listens every day. So I'd love for him to come back with some thoughts on that, and maybe some follow-up questions, like, okay, I did this and felt this, now what? Like, I would love that.
And by the way, maybe you want to invite that person to come on Tuesday.
We will do that. We will do that and see if they want.
And we'll have a direct conversation.
That would be great. We'll do that too. So speaking of things to come, I know you mentioned, if you follow Dr. Nicki Monty on Facebook, look for Dr. Nicki, Nicki J Monty, Monti, that we'd get a sneak preview of a little bit of the cover.
Instagram also,
or on Instagram as well. If you look on the screen right now, we've got a little preview of the cover. I got to tell you, I know we're not going to do it right now, but I'm really looking forward to discussing the book and getting into all of it, because I've got a lot of questions about digging into yourself for a book. So I can't wait to really talk in depth about the book as well. So I think that's
great. I'm excited to do that. Yeah.
So
I'm excited to read it. We've got it, and we're going on vacay, and when we do, we're listening to it on audio
on our long
great.
on our journey. So it's fun.
The book, by the way,
you'll be in therapy the whole time while you read the book.
right?
You'll
Yeah.
need therapy.
Right.
By the way,